Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling, and shall we see what's going on in our lovely island of Fawnhallow today, where we'll be relaxing as per usual. I was pretty busy in the evening, so this is me coming back and recording an Animal Crossing episode. Now, I have just realised that 1000 Times Resist does not have a title, which was not intended, obviously. So I guess we'll be doing that. Let's give it a title now, in the middle of this Animal Crossing video. When would be a good time to do so? I'm trying to think of which conversation would be good, but good evening everyone, I'm here with a late night broadcast. I hope I can make it through this. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 12:30 AM on what should be Thursday, June 12th, 2025. But yeah. What's going on here? Oh yes, it's this one. It's a party, isn't it? Be water. Survive at all costs. Maybe that should be the title. I feel like we need something serious, you know. Because really the story. I mean, the story was pretty serious before, to be honest, but it like got really, really serious in this episode. I'm gonna use Be Water because I think that's a very iconic one. Something like that, right? Look at me, Be Water. Maybe I'll just use Be Water by itself. Because that's like a quote from Bruce Lee or something, right? Where he's like, "Be water, my friend. You put water in a cup, it becomes a cup. You put water in a plate, it becomes a plate. You put water in a teapot, it becomes a teapot. Be like water, my friend." Something like that. Which is, you know, it's sort of just like good general life advice for life advice for versatility and things like that. Can't really say I disagree with, at least conceptually, what's going on there. I assume that's what it is. Let's see. Be water quote. I weirdly have only ever seen it in like an image macro format rather than actually him speaking it himself. What was it? Empty your mind, be formless, shapeless, like water. If you put water into a cup, it becomes a cup. If you put water into a bottle, it becomes a bottle. You put it into a teapot, it becomes a teapot. No water can flow or can crash. Be water, my friend. I don't know why that part sticks to me, but be water, my friend is that's like a very big part of it. It's an iconic line. Yeah, adaptability and resilience, taking on any form. I mean, I feel like in general that's a pretty good thing to do. It's not a very easy thing to do, might I add. As much as I'm sure we'd all love to be water, in every case, it's sort of like, I think it's pretty difficult in a lot of times, you know, depending on the situation. And I suppose in a lot of situations, maybe you shouldn't always go with the flow. But, I mean, also, I guess you shouldn't be living your life based on exactly, like, the musings of philosophies, because not to say that they aren't good, not to say that isn't a good thing, you know, being water, I suppose, but you can't apply it broadly to every single situation in existence, you know? Sorry. I had to sneeze. That was actually really awkward because I was like, I usually use my Stream Deck to mute myself, but then I was like, I couldn't figure out where my Stream Deck was fast enough, so I just slowly dragged my mouse over to the microphone mute button and just did it through there. But that is, you know, no worries. I mean, I feel like if there's anything that you're going to take as like, this is going to be my life motto, be water, my friend, is not a bad one. What be some bad ones? If you don't deserve me at my, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. That's a pretty bad one. Like, I understand conceptually, and honestly, it's kind of like queen behavior to say that in a sense. But it's just like that's a level of self-confidence one can only aspire to, I suppose, being like, I know I'm good enough. But that only really applies if you actually are good enough, right? If you're actually just like an insufferable person at your worst, then it's like, oh, I don't think anyone really wants you. not even deserves you. No one really wants you at your best. Probably. What's going on with this group conversation? But yeah, that's kind of, I don't know. Being water is a pretty good thing, in that sense, I suppose. To be able to hold that flexibility, to be able to become one with whatever you need to be. That's kind of like a I don't know, just like a good thing, right? I'm trying to think like what sort of bad way could you twist be water, my friend, in a way which is not necessarily unhelpful, but like a bad way to live life, I suppose. It doesn't feel like there's that many. I mean, I'm sure there certainly is. I'm not going to pretend like there's not, but it is a sort of thing where it's like, it feels like a pretty, ironically, flexible point in the first place, which sort of makes it so all-encompassing that how could you ever fault it? I guess that's what. Yeah, like I'm trying to think. There are some life mottos, which are like, you know what's also a very good one. If you wanted to take as the only life motto for your entire life, is the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. That's a pretty good one. Like that one's like pretty all-encompassing. It's pretty difficult to come up with a situation where it's like, that's bad. Like you can only come up with like slightly worse variations where it's like, oh yeah, you know, well technically 19 years ago would have been at least second best, etc., etc. Well, that sort of response, you know, kind of flies in the face of what we intended. What I think what most people should probably think would be the intended meaning behind it, right? It's a bit silly to subscribe something else to it. I mean, that kind of goes with most life mottos. I guess it kind of is silly to subscribe an incorrect, not an incorrect, but like a obviously unintended meaning to it. And that goes with, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. It's sort of like, obviously the intended meaning, I think, should be like, if you're not going to be a foul weather friend, like, do you deserve to be a fair weather friend or something? Like, I want you to be there through the thick and thin, essentially, rather than just, what is thick or is thin the bad part? I don't really know. I guess I've never really thought about it. I've always thought thick was the fast, like the difficult parts of life, but maybe that's not true. Thick and thin. Yeah, okay, stay with someone through bad and good times, but which one's a bad time and which one's a good time? I don't know, thick and thin origin? Hard expression through the thicket and thin wood. Okay, so then thicket. Yeah, that would be the bad time, surely. I mean, it's pretty difficult to go through thicket. That's my assumption. Yeah, I'm just trying to think what else, to be honest. What else would even make sense? What else even could make sense? I don't know. That's just kind of how things are. Life advice, weirdly, is not very applicable to most people's entire lives. But it is vaguely applicable to a lot of different things, at least. Your mileage may vary. Your mileage may vary, I suppose, depending on the situation. I don't know, be water, plant a tree today, or very environmental things. You might even say that maybe they're vague enough that they kind of get like a pass, right, for not falling into a trap of being something which doesn't work. I don't know, I can't even think of a lot of life advice at the moment, to be honest. what other dangerous, well, I'm not sure dangerous is the right word, but unhelpful life advice could exist? I'm sure a lot which doesn't come to mind necessarily. I'm not really sure, to be honest. It's really hard to think of like what are sort of like generic life advice sweeping statements, which are often repeated or tooted. Just off the top of your head, you know. Honesty is the best policy. I mean, I feel like a lot of times honesty is and should be most appreciated, but sometimes that's not always the best policy. Like, what if you're telling a joke? You're gonna be honest about it? What if you're embellishing a story? You might be like, that doesn't really make sense, and I suppose maybe it doesn't, probably doesn't, but at the same time, you know, I think there's sort of like an invisible, like, I mean, maybe you'd be like, oh, sometimes a little white lie might be better than the truth, and honestly, you know, sometimes that is the case, right? But a lot of the time as well, you know, there's like an invisible handshake of being like, yeah, obviously I know you're kind of like telling a lie. You know, like a stand-up comedian, for example. Like, a lot of stand-up comedians, I'm sure, say a lot of lies. It's not like we're going up on stage and being like, oh yeah, here's the truth and nothing but the truth. Well, maybe they are, I don't know. Anyway, I think I'm just gonna, I can't wrap this episode off yet. It's 12 minutes, that's way too short. That, I would say, is a little bit redonkulous. I don't really know what else to say about it. I just, you know, I'm kind of surprised at how good Be Water is as like a generic thingamabob, you know. Just a thing that's sort of like really quite all-encompassing. When it comes to things. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe now I'll round it off. I know, like, I mean, you have to forgive me, it's like almost 1 AM, of course, I'm not going to be in my right state of mind to do conversation. So, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope to see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.